we've all seen the videos of these people who are pretending to be hurt and then they walk off the stretcher. I don't know what the number is. I'm not going to dispute it, but I know that you disputed the numbers. But I have to say good morning to my good friend Abby. Abby, good morning, counselor.
Hey, good morning. So the numbers were disputed. I didn't come in to talk about that, and to my Egyptian friend, who we usually have good dialogue, what you fail to mention is how many, in whatever the number is, are actual combatants. How many were Hamas combatants of that number? And you're at war. It is a declared war, and you take out the combatants. So even if we say 20,000, 18,000 are combatants, which is probably around the number, and then you have civilian people in civilian clothes that also were complicit or also part of the combat. And then, by the way, it's almost 2 years. You also have death by natural cause. With a population of over 1 million people, 1.5 million, someone help me on what the number is.
2 million.
You're going to have 2 million, you're going to have 6,000 people die of natural causes over a 2-year period of 2 million people.
Abby, can I ask one very short thing? Because I know you didn't come up to talk about the numbers, but just one sentence. The number has stayed at 55,000 since last year. It was 55,000 in 2024, and it's still at 55,000. So the number's probably fake.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably fake, but again, you have to account for what the amount of combatants are, what were the amount of people that were in civilian clothes that were also combatants, and how many died of natural causes.
I totally agree with you.
One last thing. Also, how many died as a result, because there's a 20%, and this is absolutely verifiable, over the course of conflicts that they've had, of their own weaponry, their own missiles, they're killing their own, where they misfire, where it lands in their own space. So you can have, even if you want to be conservative and say 17% died not by Israeli munitions, but by their own. So you can knock that number down pretty significantly, assuming, even if you want to assume your number. And then if you look at all of those deaths versus then what we were going to call the innocent civilian deaths, and the fact that they use the civilians as their shields, then it's a pretty low civilian ratio.
Well, Abby, everybody hold on. Abby, you're not using the Jew calculator. So anytime Israel's involved in any conflict, you got to multiply it by 3.
Yeah, probably. But I actually
10 seconds.
Wait, I actually came up to talk about Iran. With respect to what they did, and I think people really have to focus on this, and there's a shit ton of articles, I'll try to get some of them. The level that they were at, they had hit threshold capacity, which is around 60% a while ago, like months and months ago. And once you hit that threshold capacity, it's only a matter of months that you can go from the 60% up to around 80 to 85%. And then it's a cakewalk to finally get to the 100% level, which they were perhaps weeks away, like not months away, weeks away for breakout. One of the problems with JCPOA is that our lovely last president never considered the problem that they didn't stop the ballistic missiles and the ability to deliver these bombs. So although they were stopping the proliferation of the nuclear bomb and the nuclear device, they didn't stop the way it could get delivered. So that's all been there, and they've been still developing their ballistic missiles and their other forms of warheads along this whole track. But the concern was, after they hit that threshold capacity, that they were so close, and it put the world at risk. It obviously put Israel at risk, it put the United States at risk, it put other Arab nations in the Gulf region at risk. I mean, and if you look look now at these drones that are coming out and what Arab nations have been helping Israel in shooting them down, it speaks volumes. Also, what airspace they were able to use, including Jordan, and Saudi, and the Emirates. You know, so this is the last time that Iran shot at, back in what was it, April, when they shot all those ballistic missiles, and all of these other Gulf nations jumped in to help. And you got to remind me, wasn't Egypt also helpful when that happened back in April? I kind of
Yes.
have a memory of Egypt helping on that.
Yes. Let me jump in here real quick, Council. So the first thing after these attacks from Israel onto Iran, the first thing the Iranian regime did, they didn't start shooting missiles back. They secured their power. They suppressed their people because they know their time is coming. That's the first thing they did. So let me go to, this is the cue. I guess AEF. Maji, you gotta let me run my room, brother. Please. You've got plenty of grace and space, but I gotta get the speakers.
Sure, I just needed 10 seconds if you may.
No, it's always 10 seconds. But I need to get new speakers. I'm gonna go AEF, Roz, then OG Fred, and Andy in the control. AEF, how you doing? Off, AF? Are you there? There you are. Did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I want to say that nearly 70% of Gaza were dead, verified by the UN, are women and children. Are these Hamas soldiers?
A lot of the women were soldiers as well. Women were helping in the combatant. That women were not completely innocent. If you look at the videos of October 7th and the women that were crossing over into Kfar Aza and Kibbutz Be'eri, there were women coming in on bicycles, ATVs, that were looting and stealing from the dead. They were the third wave. Yes, there were women as well.
What's about the kids then?
So what about the people that just die of natural causes? How do you feel about that? You think that happens with 2 million people? What do you think the percentage is? 2 million people, population. How many die of natural causes? You probably Google that. What do you think?
What are the natural causes?
What's a natural cause? I don't know. They're old.
Old
They
age,
have cancer. Let's see, they have cancer. They're old. Guys, what's a natural cause?
Wait, Abby, let me ask you a question. Wait a second. Let me ask you a question, man. Do you have any issue with Hamas hiding in hospitals, mosques, and schools, putting these people's lives in danger? Hamas stealing all the aid from their own people? Do you have any issue with any of that?
Yes, of course I have issues with that, but they could attack only the Hamas soldiers. They could avoid the fucking civilians.
But if the Hamas soldiers are hiding amongst the civilians in hospitals, mosques, and schools, how do they kill the Hamas soldiers who killed their citizens? How do they do that?
They can literally do an operation. Like,
You're head of the military. How are you going to get rid of them? You got urban warfare. How are you doing it? You're a brilliant warrior. How you doing it?
Army versus like what you call them a terrorist group, so they are not really organized. So you can with
Really. So the tunnels where they were all under the hospital, you can just go in and take out and under the school. Right? I mean, come on. And by the way, AEF or whatever you are, how many Germans died in World War II? How many Germans, civilians?
That's Germans have to do with
Yeah,
that.
Germans have a lot to do. How many Germans died? Are we upset that we took out Hitler and we got rid of an evil in the world? Are we happy about that? You happy that we did that?
There was an army versus an army.
Wait a second. AF, let's get to the point, because if it's going to be a real conversation, or is it going to be disingenuous? So I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and I want you to be honest. Very simple questions. You ready? Does Israel have a right to exist? And what happened on October 7th? Tell me.
Yeah, on October 7th, Hamas launched an attack to Israeli land.
Wait. So they did it. So you're saying that Israel is a bad guy because they killed civilians, but Hamas killed 1,200 civilians in one day. That's okay. It was a land grab.
Can I ask a question? How many before October 7th, how
of them are actually militants, and only a small portion of civilians which were.
What are the numbers? Like, what are we doing here? It's semantics at this point.
Even the government doesn't say it's 1,200 civilians.
Well, I'm saying that like one.
Hold on, who gives a shit?
What?
Hold on. Let me have dialogue with this guy. Because so October 7th, you're saying that some Hamas people went into some land, and the 1,200 people, most of those weren't civilians; they were military people. I'm just trying to get clarity on what you're saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just asked you the question.
Can I
I want clarity on what you said. When I get to you, you can. Get an AF.
What
All
is
right,
it?
get done. All right, I'm not repeating myself, dude. You can listen to the question in the audience. Holy shit, man! People get on their squares with this anti-Jew shit. They don't want to listen to common sense, critical thinking. And by the way, hold on, OG. OG, I got you. Hold on, let me just say this. I'm a Jew, right? I'm a proud Zionist right here. PSYOP, I need you to mute up, please. But I also call out the Israeli government when they do something wrong. I'm not blind. I'm not deaf. I hear what's going on. But to say that some Hamas guys came into the land and they killed military people. No, they killed civilians. They put babies in ovens. And Amar, if you want to talk about what happened before October 7th, I'm talking from October 7th on. And what's going on in Iran?
October 7th? You want me to talk after October 7th?
I don't really want you to talk at all, but go ahead.
Okay, so let me give you a little bit of those, okay? How about this? Number one, 40,000 kids dead. Give me justification for
Yeah,
that.
give me a link in the chat that says that. Put a link in the chat that confirms it.
Wait, 1 second.
Give
International
me a link in the chat.
let me finish. I'll give you a link. Calm
Put
down.
the fucking link in the chat, you moron. Because that's a lie, and that's dangerous to even fucking say that because you're an anti-Jew.
Listen, we live in the world of Google and ChatGPT. Type it in how many kids died in Gaza. Just
Put the fucking link in the chat.
Put the link in the chat.
Put the link in the chat.
Right now, I'm doing it for you, Sunshine. Now look at this, okay? And I have a question from you. I have a question for you. Now answer me this. Why is the International Criminal Court putting a warrant out for Netanyahu?
Because the International Criminal Court is full of shit.
Learn to be quiet when someone else is speaking.
I just
right?
answered your question, but next question, please.
No, next question is very simple. Why is the world calling what's happening in Gaza a genocide?
The world is not in agreement about this. That's an argument to authority. It's bullshit. Appeal to crowds.
Listen.
The world agrees with me, asshole. The world in this room agrees with me. You're the only one in this
So you
room
can
who
live in
doesn't
a
agree with me.
So it's the
Everybody in this room agrees with me.
And that makes sense. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Everybody, hold on.
Mentality. If there's not 10 Nazis sitting in a room thinking what they're doing is right, does it make it?
Okay, listen, when I'm talking, you gotta shut up and listen. Because then we have the dialogue. You wanna come back up, let's have the dialogue. But this you hate, and there's no non-critical thinking, that's a great question. What is a genocide? Oh, and hold on. But, this is ridiculous. This narrative you fucking anti-Jews want to say.
I asked the question. What's a genocide? Ask him, please.
He's not gonna answer. He's gonna give some bullshit answer. Well, let me go to the next speaker, which is Roz, and then OG Fred. Roz? Raz?
Yeah, about this issue, I think mostly Abby was the one on point. You see how it concerns and escalates the idea of world terrorism. Iran is definitely a player that cannot be controlled. It's still labeled a terrorist state, and the sad part is how close they were to the nuclear treaty. But as you can see, Israel backed out, that there is no way they're going to let this neighboring country have nuclear weapons, and that's mostly the main concern of this conflict if you look at it on the surface.
Thank you so much. OG Fred, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, bro. What's going on?
Thank you for your patience. Do you want to chime in?
I just came, I came to listen in. Like my family's out of Tel Aviv, so it's It's crazy what's going on.
Is everybody safe?
Yeah, my uncle, my aunt, they're safe. I spoke to my uncle yesterday. It's shit is nuts, man. Shit is nuts. I just hope like it doesn't get any worse than what it is, man.
Well, I hope your family stays safe, bro. Seriously, if you want to chime in, just raise your hand.
Gotcha.
Thank you. I'm going to go to one of my favorite speakers on this subject, my man Harry Balzac. Harry, what's up?
What's up, baby? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I don't know about some of these anti-Jews, how they're doing, but that's on them. You want to chime in?
Yeah, no problem. I mean, listen, it's the same rhetoric we've been hearing for, I mean, at least for right now, for 2 years, and even before that, before this whole thing happened. Now, what this guy was saying about these numbers about the innocent children, you know, let's see where those numbers are from, because the UN is not on the ground there, right? So the UN has no idea what the hell's going on. Those numbers come from the Gaza Ministry of Health, which is run by Hamas. So if we're going to start believing numbers that a terrorist organization puts out there, then, you know, I guess all humanity is lost. I don't know. I guess we're going to start believing terrorists and what they say, right? So
Yeah.
that's all you need to say anytime they bring up that information, JB, is those numbers come from Hamas, and they're not accurate at all.
I agree. Thank you, Harry. So, by the way, before we continue this conversation, I'm just going to say something to Ann, and I'm waiting for that information. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes, okay. And can I get in the queue?
You can go right now, then I'm going to go to Sabrina, then Andy. You going to go?
You said Sabrina and then Ann.
No, I said you can go right now, then I'm going to go to Sabrina and Andy.
Oh, I didn't hear you say Amy. Okay. So I posted a link in the chat. So I find it to be concerning that Netanyahu told everyone to take shelter, but to stay close, and they have him. He fled the region and they located the plane essentially in Greece somewhere. So to me, you're gonna leave your people, tell them to take shelter and to stay close, but you leave. What a little, that's sickening to me, and I have a problem with that, and I don't know why no one's talked about.
Yeah, JB, it's from Al Jazeera. Come on, give me a break.
What did you say? I didn't hear you.
Your link is from Al Jazeera. It's not a viable news source.
Wait, what do you mean? No, there's many other news sources.
He's talking about Amar, whatever, posted the thing.
He wasn't responding.
Yeah, hey, JB, where do you get Iran is getting their ass kicked, man? Where do y'all get that from?
Some things I read online.
Oh, yeah, because there's things that 2 F-35s were shot down. Israel actually has more casualties right now.
That's because Iran is fighting in civilian areas. So, of course, there's going to be more Israeli casualties. Israel's fighting into military areas where there'll be less casualties. Does that make sense, Saya?
It's actually bullshit what he just said, by the way. First of all, you don't
You're a mad faggot, white boy. Shut the fuck up, pussy.
You see? There you go.
I'm Latino. I don't side with no Israel. I don't side with Mecca. We're aligned with China. We're aligned.
Okay, are you done? I didn't get 2 words off and he started personally attacking me. You see that? That's how you know people are wrong. So, by the way, there's no actually official reports of 2 F-35s being shot down. That's being debunked, and that's bullshit. And we don't rate winning a war by how many casualties there are. You rate winning a war by taking out intelligence posts, military bases. They just dismantled their nuclear program. They set that shit back 30, 40 years. If not, they took it out completely. They took out key head scientists, nuclear scientists, and the IRGC commander-in-chief. They took out in their beds.
Yeah, but they did kill some civilians, right?
Listen, the buildings that they were targeting in Iran are in areas, and I've talked to people that are on the ground there, that have family on the ground there. Those people live in certain areas in certain cities that are only allowed with IRGC officials that are allowed to live in those buildings in those areas. So I don't know if you consider IRGC people civilians or do you consider them part of the IRGC, right?
Well, let me jump in here real quick. Nye, Anthony, are you there? Nye, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
You know what's amazing to me, Nye? that the two things that really trigger people the most on this app is anti-Jewish rhetoric, or anything with Israel, and racism. It's amazing to me the disingenuous context that people bring to stages because they have so much hate for either a race or a religion. It just fucking blows my mind, bro. But let me say
No
good
one
morning.
responded to what I said. Like, not one person had a reaction to that. About Netanyahu, no take.
What did you say, Ann?
No,
That he fled.
yeah, that he fled and he told everyone else to stay close, take shelter, and to stay close. But he's not. He fled.
Where did he flee to?
Well, they say that they've tracked his plane essentially to Greece, but like, he's not.
Put the article in the chat. Put the article in the chat, and I'll take a peek at it. And I'll comment it. Well, I think I can't go keep looking through the hundreds of comments here. Just put the link in the chat. Man. Thank you. Holy shite. Well, because nobody paid attention to what you said?
No, I'm just shocked that there was like no take on that. Like everyone's like.
Because I don't know if it's true. That's why I'm saying put the article in the chat. I'll take a look at it.
I can give you a take on it if you want. I mean, I'll tell you this, that Israel is smarter than that. They're not gonna fucking post information on the internet to where their leader is, or if he flew on a plane. I think it's all diversion tactics. So, even if he did, I don't know what that would change. But, you know, so that's.
Let me read the article she's going to pin. But let me say good morning to Sabrina Carpenter. We have a celebrity on stage. Then we go to Alpha and Maku. Sabrina, good morning.
Yo, you forgot about me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll go to you next, Andy. Sabrina, are you there? Sabrina? All right, let's move you down then. Because if you have nothing to say, there's no reason for you to be here. I'm sorry, guys. We're going to go Andy, Alpha, Maku, and then I want to hear Amir and his bullshit numbers. Andy?
You know, first of all, between Syria and Sudan, over 1 million Muslims are going to be killed, but I don't see people protesting on the street about that. It's only when Jews kill Muslims that makes it bad. That's one hypocrisy. Number two, it's worth reiterating, JB, you said they hid Hamas in under mosques and schools and houses, all true. It's damage. One of the speakers mentioned how many Germans were killed in World War II. This is a problem when you start a war. There's no real, you killed 1,200 people. And think about how they killed those people. Those people were, it was Saturday morning, they're celebrating their holiday, coming to their homes. They murder, they stab out eyeballs, they cut off breasts on women, they put kids in ovens. They stamped out, they made their spouses watch being raped, their wives being raped. The outrage that this happened, I don't know anybody from Israel, I don't know anybody from Palestine, but I am an American. And when you rape, and you murder, and you mutilate, and by the way, 1,200 people did die that day. But you know the number they don't talk about? How about the 5,500 people who got injured, shot and survived, stabbed and survived? How about the 18,000 rockets that, since Hamas took over, were shot into Israel that they had to deal with during the regime? I don't understand when you complain about 55,000 people dying. Was there people dying on October 4th? October 3rd? Why did this happen? What was Israel supposed to do? Have kosher dinner, break bread with these people, have the Sabbath with these people? What were you expecting them to do? I don't get this outrage. And I hear this word genocide, and I did interrupt. I said, what's a genocide? But the person I just left the stage. A genocide is the intentional murdering of a group of people. If Israel wanted to have a genocide, don't you think they would accomplish it by now? Aren't their weapons superior? The hypocrisy just makes my hair stand up. I could go on, but it's old enough. I'm gonna yield the mic.
Thank you, Andy. How dare you have common sense and critical thinking? Who do you think you are? This is Clubhouse. And Iron Left. I read her article. It was for the Sarajevo Times. I don't know if that's a reputable source or not, but yeah, I don't believe that Netanyahu fled his country. Let me go to Alpha. Good morning, Alpha.
Good morning, JB. I hope you're doing good, and hopefully the listeners are doing good, and everybody else. Thank you for another opportunity on the stage. Just wanted to address something in favor of Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East. Now, what's interesting is that people all of a sudden are outraged by children dying. Their moral compass is very selective. Their moral outrage is very biased. For instance, an average salary in Yemen is $244 a month. $244 a month. The Houthi-controlled areas, the salary is even less, perhaps half of what you earn in Sana'a. And the Houthis do not use that money that they get through narcotics, that they get through their connections with the cartels and all of these haram people, right, from the haram businesses, towards which no Muslim has any moral outrage commanded by the junctions of their supposed holy books. Now, $2 million divided by 244, that's almost about 6,000 families. So instead of you trying to kill Jewish kids and Israeli kids, maybe you could spend that $2 million feeding 7,000 families instead of making propagandist videos in Arabic. Allah يساعدكم, Allah يساعدكم, please help us. Allah يساعدكم, ساعدونا, نموت من الجوع. So don't act like your moral outrage. Believe me, your moral outrage is a simple display of utter hypocrisy, nauseating hypocrisy. Let me give you an example. Do you remember when 300,000 people were displaced in Afrin, in Rojava, West Kurdistan, or North Syria? Do you know what the Gaza leadership said in their meeting only a week after? This is what Khalid Mash'al, the co-founder of the terrorist organization, one of the co-leaders of the terrorist organization of Hamas, known as Al-Harakat al-Muqawamat al-Islamiyya, right? The Islamic Resistance Movement, Hamas. Do you know what they said about the displacement of 300,000 Kurds, Muslim Kurds, from North Syria? Khalid Mash'al simply said this. He praised Turkey's invasion and occupation and displacement of these people, and he said, and I'll just translate this into English as well, النصر في عفرين كان نموذجا للإرادة التركية. That the victory in Afrin was a study, was an example of willpower of Turkey. وإن شاء الله سنسجل ملاحم بطولية لنصرة أمتنا. That this will be a record for the victory of our ummah, of our community. How dare you talk about children? And guess what? Those 300,000 people that were displaced, today, their houses are being colonized by Palestinian settlers brought in by Turkey. Where is your moral outrage about that? How dare you talk about moral outrage? How dare you talk about moral outrage when you are selective? You didn't care about the Yemeni children. You didn't care about Syria. Israel is the only country that is right now fighting a dictatorship that is responsible for the death of thousands of women and children. The Iranian regime is a pariah state. The Iranian theocratic regime has done nothing throughout its existence for the past 40 to 50 years except to create terroristic proxies, victory that will only come with the destruction of innocent people. And you have these moral philosophers, these street moral philosophers that expect us to just shut our eyes and say we're not supposed to fight back. How can 2 children die in Tehran in Tasnim Square? But it's okay if Iran sponsored terrorist organizations kill 1,200 Jews in a day.
Alpha.
How dare you?
Alpha.
I'll just end with this, JB. For those who spoke about those who want to speak about the 1.5 million Iraqis that died, well, guess what? It was damn worth it. And if America was to do it again, I would support it wholeheartedly. Do you know why? Because if Saddam Hussein was not removed, much to the dislike of your comfortable chair in Berkeley somewhere, right? In Orange County somewhere, you would have killed more. Saddam killed 182,000 Kurds and many more Shias, Arabs too. So don't talk to me about you being so morally outraged about the 1.5 million who died of hunger because of Saddam Hussein's regime's obstinacy. So please, do yourself a big favor, right? Go read moral philosophy again before you come and display this two-faced hypocrisy.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna let that breathe for a minute, then we'll go to another speaker. But, bro, how dare you bring facts to Clubhouse? That was one of the best years I've ever heard on this app. I've been on this app for 5 years. You brought fucking facts. But you know what's gonna happen, Alpha? The people with the rose metal glasses, bro, they're gonna push back. So let me give CEO a little reset real quick. Good morning, CEO.
Hey, good morning, my guy. Popped in, running this morning. Always good to hear the room, and I heard the passion. And I was educated by what the gentleman just said. Appreciate you letting him breathe, man. Sounds like he knew what he was talking about and meant what he.
100%. So basically, CEO, the world's on fire right now. We got protests in 2,000 sites in America. We got Donald Trump with his military parade. We got Israel, Iran going on. And I've learned, I said this earlier before you came in, man, there's 2 subjects that will always light the room on fire. Racism and anti-Semitism, or anti-Jew. Those will always stir the pot because it brings out people's true feelings. That's what I believe, right? This man Alpha just dropped gem after gem after gem. And we got people on stage that are going to say, fuck the Zionists, kill them all. But you want to say something, CEO, before I circle?
Not at all, man. I'm gonna let that be what it is.
Appreciate you as well. So Alpha, man, that was an amazing show. One of the best I've ever heard on this app, and I say that sincerely. Maku, good morning.
Good morning to you, my man.
How you doing?
Doing all right. So I'm indigenous American. I'm gonna tell you. Let me say this, and then keep my correct your social my house. Chief Rocky Williams. I have the way I look at it is America. We have a problem. We have a problem because of religion. Yeah, I don't think this is a race war. I think this is becoming a religious war. And we got a lot of people that don't stand for the values of America that's inside our country. You know, our country has been a melting pot for many years, so it's many cultures over here. There's much love and respect between cultural exchanges. However, when it comes to the religion war, you gotta think about this guy, whoever they call him, Supreme, whatever. These guys are fanatics. And if he calls for a spiritual war, we got to think about what's here. Because they can't touch us. They're not shooting shit over here. They're not invading. They can't touch us. You know? But it's who's inside. And you can see it in the context. I mean, yeah, killing kids is wrong, but we understand casualties. Warriors are warriors. You know? But the context, you look at these texts, it's like you got, I can see like treason in here. You know? I mean, this group has their issues over there with the Arab world over there. whole point is, what are we gonna do about the guys over here, the Muslims over here that's possibly cells and will follow that supreme leader if he calls it jihad? What about me?
Wait a second, bro. First off, I have Muslim friends that are some of the best people I've ever met.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna stand on that square and say, all Muslims are bad.
No, I'm not saying that.
Listen, hold on a second, because you're coming off like you're saying that. What are we gonna do about the Muslims?
I said, I think the Muslims over here that's sympathizing with the regimes over here. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, because we don't know. You don't know. And if that supreme leader says it's a jihad, a holy war, that's a big problem.
Like I said, I believe there's more good Muslims than bad Muslims. And I don't know about a jihad over here in America. But thank you for your share. I appreciate you. I have some very deep love for some of my Muslim friends, just like my Jewish friends. So I'm going to go to, this is going to be interesting. Let me go to Amar. Amar, go ahead, let's hear your fake numbers.
I posted BBC. I posted UNICEF. I mean, I don't know if you understand what UNICEF is. I would imagine you should search what UNICEF is. The numbers are all there. I posted links about the ICC, what they've said, what the Amnesty International, another friend over here talked about genocide. He tried to gaslight it and wrap it in another bag and sell it. I just posted a link that what Amnesty International.
Let me ask you a question.
Let me.
No, I'm going to ask you a question.
Is that how you do it?
That's exactly how I'm going to do it.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, you and your feelings. Let me ask you, is there a genocide going on in Gaza right now?
100%, not by me. I'm not saying this. The world is saying this. International bodies are saying this. International reputed organizations are saying it. Not me on Clubhouse. Everyone else.
So when the aid gets to Gaza, whatever aid there may be, who keeps that aid? Does the Palestinians get it, or does Hamas take it and not give it to them?
Oh, nice try. I like what you're doing. So you're trying to say, hey, wait. Let me finish now. Don't interrupt. So you're trying to divert this by saying there's people dying, there's aid that's going to get to them, but you're saying, no, we're going to block the aid. You know why? Because we know that aid is going to go to Hamas. And you're going to block it. You're going to let people starve to death, die by this rhetoric? Nice try. The world isn't buying it.
Let me ask you a question.
Wait a second.
Wait a second, Abby. I'm going to come to you in a second. Hold on. I'm just curious. Just one quick question, and then I'm going to hand it to Abby. Were you on that boat with Greta Thunberg? I'm just curious.
No, I just watch media like everyone else. Nice try, JB. Again, trying to gaslight. If the gaslight
I'm the gaslight what? Okay.
My back, I scratch your back.
No, this room is a pro-Zionist space. It always has been, always will be.
So we don't talk about facts. We don't talk about data. We talk about what we feel like.
Hey, Bozo, why don't we talk about the aid and Hamas attacking and killing Gazans that were trying to get the aid, and Hamas stealing the aid, and that the aid has been
That's
flowing
really
from
wrong.
there.
So you
No,
can't-
Amar, are you over there? Are you there?
Right?
Are you on premises?
Two wrongs
You
make a
fucking
right.
know? Because you don't.
We're in grade
You
school
don't.
now.
You read TikTok or you
Hey,
watch
Abby,
TikTok.
genius. We're talking about two wrongs make a right.
Yeah, I'm talking about what's happening
What
with the
IDF is going to do 10
I'm-
times worse.
I'm
I love
talking
that.
about-
Let's kill kids. Let's go and kill.
Are you a good propagandist? Okay.
I'm not trying to destroy the gaslighting and the bullshit.
Yeah, of course you are. You see this, you're the problem. Yes. You're the problem because you.
I'm talking about
say on
you're
TikTok.
talking propaganda.
Wait a second, please. Where are you based out of, Amber? Amber the Hammer.
JB, Brooklyn, near you, bro. With your accent, I
He's probably the one showing up at the synagogue threatening people.
He's a big,
God.
hold on a second.
Caught me. Oh my God.
Hold on a second. He's in Bay Ridge protesting the right for Israel to possess. I guarantee you this dude's in Bay Ridge. Because that's a hot spot for anti-Semitism. Oh, I'm sorry, anti-Jew. I can't say anti-Semitism because it triggers some people. But before we continue this stimulating conversation, let me say hello to one of my favorite people in that. First Lady, how you doing? See you there.
I am.
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Happy Sabbath to you as well.
Great PTR. So Lady Chi, I mean, we've been going over all these different subjects, right? I'm sorry I keep calling you Chi, but that's how I know you. What do you think about these 2,000 protests that are going to go on in America, No King's Day?
Protest is fine. That's your First Amendment right. I don't like it when it gets out of hand and turns into something else. I don't know about the No Kings thing. They were talking about it yesterday. I still haven't done my own research, so I can't really speak on it yet. But yeah, that's how I feel about protesting. Protesting, as long as you can keep it peaceful, then I don't have a problem with people, exercising their First Amendment.
What do you think about what's going on? I just saw the videos of Philly where they've boarded up most of Walnut, Chestnut Street, the stores. I don't know in other cities. I don't know where you are for Sunday, but different cities are all anticipating looting.
Oh, that's horrible. No, I haven't seen it. I actually haven't turned on the news since yesterday, so I didn't know that they were doing it. Wow.
It's close to the big business streets. Have they been doing that in Manhattan too?
I don't know if it's in Manhattan right now, but what I do know is they're anticipating between 75 and 100,000 people in the No King's Day protest in Manhattan. It's by Bryant Park, which, is a pretty nice area. Listen, I won't bet anything. There's going to be looting. There's going to be chaos. And I don't think it's the protesters. I think it's the outside influencers that are paying for this. And these bad actors that integrate with these protests.
Hey, JB, I want to agree with you, man. I think that should be a bigger story. I just think there should be more investigation and discussion going over the past several years, from the allegations of Antifa doing X or this group doing X. These protests that are generally peaceful, they're people who are incentivized to create chaos, to attack protesters, and it's happening now. Even with this LA thing, there's multiple reports that people look at it where there are people being hired to come in and do stuff, and who benefits from there being chaos at a protest. And I think it's worth having more discussion about this.
You're so spot on. You're really spot on. I think they have been. I mean, there's been some, not just investigation, but they've actually found that there's some foreign government influence on this. And, you'll see people wrapped in scarves and covered faces to try to, hide who they are. But you're absolutely spot on, and they've tracked it back to some foreign actors on that. But you're right, it's a big issue.
Well, I'll say this, I don't remember the gentleman's name. First off, I put a lot of them on top. Chief, want to know about North King's protests against Trump's policies. From what I understand, there's over 2,000 locations in America, Mexico, and some European cities are going to be protesting as well. I don't know why they're involved, but they are. So here's the thing, Abby. I've never been to LA. I know some people in there, I'm not trying to bounce, but CEO, he has some connections out in LA. If you watch some of those videos from those LA protests against ICE, there were people out there waving Palestinian flags. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with ICE? From the river to the sea, they were chanting. It's bizarre how all these organizations are integrating with each other.
Yeah, I read something. It was Communist Party. It was the Free Palestine movement or pro-Hamas movement, along with SJP mixed in with the anti-ICE movement. There was also an LPG. Go through your initials. And I forget there was a fourth one, another big one that had joined in also. And it's a weird combination of lots of groups all converging in these protests.
Well, I tell you what, I saw this. I don't remember the gentleman's name. He's an American that was in Shanghai. He's a multi-millionaire, billionaire. and he is funding almost all of this. That Congress wants to do an investigation into this gentleman. And it's just bizarre to me how, and by the way, the PSL, which is one of the organizations behind all these protests, they got $33 million in governmental funding. How the fuck is that possible in this country that we're funding these organizations? And I don't want to hear freedom of speech and all this other bullshit. If they're funding these organizations that just cause tyranny, Doge needs to look into that. This is my opinion.
To make a quick interjection, I find it bizarre that in the West, especially the United States of America, people are literally protesting against illegal people inside the United States. It is outrageous that you can actually stand as an accessory to the violation of laws that were put in place to protect you from foreign infiltration, and yet you stand against those laws. You actually fight the implementation of those laws, and at the same time, you want your democracy to thrive and to be protected from foreign intervention, from foreign sabotage, and so on and so forth. I really wonder sometimes.
Alpha, let me ask you, respectfully, on the answer, where you based out of?
Currently, I'm watching the West Coast Bazaar from Australia.
Australia. What a horrible country. No, I'm kidding. Listen, I only said that because my good friend Rolo's on stage. This is really my brother's another one. I love this man. Good morning, Rohan. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing? Now, who's on the West Coast?
I don't know who's on the West Coast of America. I'm trying to look at my stage. I don't know.
Australia.
Oh, Australia. I don't know. Alpha was just speaking. Alpha on the West Coast.
Hey, Alpha, how you doing? You're on the west side, eh?
On the east, actually.
Oh, you're on the east? Oh, okay.
Yes,
Whereabouts? What's big?
Melbourne.
Get out of town. I'm from Melbourne as well. Which part?
St. Kilda.
Alright, we're probably about 10 minutes away from each other.
Good to know.
Rohan, let me just say this real quick. There's no bullshit going on. This dude Alpha spoke about maybe 20 minutes ago, and probably one of the best insights I've ever heard on this app, because we were talking about Iran and Israel. And let me tell you something, this dude was dropping gem after gem after. It's fucking amazing.
Oh, great. Well, you got yourself a follow.
So Ryan, to give you some insight, reset what we're doing in here. So here in America, we're having all these protests, No King's Day, against Donald Trump's policies, on the same day that Donald Trump is having a military parade. But the world's on fire, bro. Look what's going on in Iran and Israel. Look what's going on in Ukraine, Russia. You know, and this might trigger some of you MAGA people. But from what I understand, when one of his talking points when he was trying to get elected was that he was going to stop all this. He was going to stop what was going on in the Middle East. He was going to stop what was going on in Ukraine and Russia. And it looks like it's all escalating around him.
Look, it's getting more messy before it's going to get tidied up, that's for sure. And I think the way that he's playing the game at the point in time is actually pretty smart. And it's not that I'm MAGA. I'm not pro-Trump in the slightest. But at the same time, I can see what I see what he's actually been doing. I think it's actually quite clever in a lot of ways.
Do you think there's any
We've been talking about like biting the head off and cutting the head off the snake. It's been something I guess with fantasy more than anything else, it's now actually a reality. And that's absolutely incredible. I think it's taken two types of characters, including Trump and Garner, to have the balls to be able to do something along these lines. And if you would have said something like this, this is going to happen like a year ago, even 2 years ago, people just laughed. Look at it now. It's a reality.
do you
sort of has a number of connotations because Israel's been using the lion icon, right, as part of the propaganda and part of the Hasbara and so forth and putting it out there. But this is also tying into what was the Iranian flag, where there was a lion on it. I think they're calling out for it. And have a look at Elon Musk, who's recently just opened up Starlink to all the people in Iran, urging them to take the opportunity to rise up to the challenge, because it's going to be too much for Israel to be able to go in there and to be able to try and take over the regime. And I think America going into that just would not look good on the world stage. It's got to be up to the people of Iran, of which there's probably between 70 and 80% of the population that are against the IRGC. So there's a possibility if ever there was a chance for the Iranian people over the last 46 years to change the regime around, it is now. There is not going to be a better chance, I don't think.
I agree with you. Let me say good morning to Truth. Good morning, Truth.
Morning. One sec, sorry.
It's okay. Rohan, I agree with you. I think. But here's the thing. When Israel went in and attacked Iran, the first thing the Iranian government did was oppress any possibility of insurgents from the Iranian people. That was the first thing they did, was secure their power.
And they also throttled the internet recently as well, just to ensure that the Iranian people would find it more difficult to be able to arrange a queue. And by the way, I'm no geopolitical expert. This is something of a novice idea and thought. But I don't know, there might be other people who agree. And look who you've got on stage with you. My God, look at this royalty. Abby is on stage. Incredible. And Mr. Anthony Edwards as well. Hey, Abs. Good to see you.
It's the day of the king, right? So it's early.
Yeah, 100%. So, and by the way, Rohan, get to know CEO and I also, and First Lady, because they're amazing speakers and good people.
Hey guys, nice to meet you.
First Lady's a great speaker.
Oh, you're too kind. Thank you. I appreciate it.
By the way, guys, if anybody's interested in having a really good dialogue, First Lady runs one of the best rooms on the side, politically correct. She may not always disagree with you, but she's always going to come back with kindness and respect. So follow Lady Chief, First Lady, and you guys will have a great conversation, I promise you. So we're going to go popcorn style.
I was going to say to her, I try to go in there, but someone they mod sometimes has me blocked, so I can't always get in there. But when I am, your rooms are very helpful, very insightful.
JB, just a fact. Can I drop a fact? I'm not sure if Truth is here. If Truth, you're here, I can go after you. If not, I would like to drop some knowledge for those who are fiendishly supporting Iran, and they think that Iran is the victim here. No, Iran is the perpetrator of many deaths. Iran has done nothing but create dementors, in the words of Joanne Rowling. All success to her, Eva Moore, a great writer. In 1980, just before the start of the Iran-Iraq war, an Ayatollah was put under house arrest who was supposed to succeed Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, and his name was Ali Hussein Montazeri. Ali Hussein Montazeri published his memoirs in Los Angeles because he escaped Iran, and he published his family published his memoir in Los Angeles, and in his memoir, published under the Persian title of Khatirat Montazeri, which means basically memoirs of Montazeri. In that book, he says that we executed 30,000 virgin Iranian females. 30,000 virgin Iranian females. And he says Ayatollah Khomeini passed a fatwa, which is the Islamic term for religious decree, saying that these women will not enter heaven
unless they are cohabited with or subjected to sexual intercourse, and then they are executed before the morning prayer ends. Before the end of the morning prayer, which is known as Salat al-Fajr in Arabic, meaning the dawn prayer. Now, he says, I objected to that vehemently, and I found it to be morally outrageous. And he said that I was from then on looked on with suspicion. I was a suspect. I was looked at as someone
At the crime scene, a drop of virus-laden blood splashed into the chief's eye. From that moment, everything changed. His body, his mind. Once a man of strict justice, now his rage knew no bounds. That bad leg of his, suddenly, no cane needed. But what truly shocked him was discovering he could suddenly crush iron chairs like paper. That night, heading home from work, the chief spotted a blood-smeared man sneakily driving a truck. Suspicious, but quietly tailed him. The man pulled over, lifted a street manhole, and climbed into the sewers. Gun drawn, the chief followed cautiously, and there it was, a body floating in a bathtub. The man was about to dissolve it with strong acid. The sight sent the chief into a blinding rage. Even though the man pleaded, claiming he was just a cleaner, not the real killer, the chief advanced on him slowly, fists clenched. The next day, the chief hit up a bar, cornering a guy nicknamed Toad. The cleaner then ratted out. He ordered Toad to come down to the station for questioning, but no one expected the chief, usually calm and by the book, to suddenly snap. He threw punches like sledgehammers, flattening a group of thugs. Then he grabbed the sneaky Toad by the collar and demanded answers about the unknown corpse. Turns out there was a back alley plastic surgeon for the mob. He used Toad to clean up his victims. The chief crammed the man into his trunk and under his guidance found the surgeon's underground clinic. Inside, he caught the surgeon in the act, preparing to operate on an innocent woman. Even more horrifying nearby, jars with something creepy floated in liquid. The chief's fury boiled over. He knocked the surgeon down. He was ready to deliver justice right then and there. But unexpectedly, the surgeon's mood snapped the chief back to his senses. When the chief brought him in, planning to charge him through proper channels, he was dragged to the room and used his connections to slip from justice. And to make it worse, he even struggled into the man's blood. Nothing passed. The chief had had enough. He followed the surgeon into the restroom, ready to handle things his way.
The Middle East, they're going to come in and say, I hate the Jews. I hate this one, this one, that one. And then you have to send it to like, go ahead, it's bad. It was only 12 months. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. So I'll just end with this. This fact was coming from the memoirs of the supposed successor of Abdullah. You see? And the only reason why, when he was actually sentenced to death for treason or for betraying the revolution, they did not want to execute him because he had a lot of following amongst the Shiite community in Asia. He was very well respected, he had a lot of following, and the regime did not execute him, but rather manumitted his sentence to house arrest indefinitely. So when people think they know facts, they don't know facts. In fact, when you use the word, for example, you're like to kill Muslims. No, the very victims of these regimes, especially Iran, for the past 4 to 5 decades, have been Muslims. Don't misconstrue it. They have been Muslims. The victims of this regime have been Muslims.
Let me ask you a question. You obviously don't have to answer. Are you Iranian?
No, I'm Kurdish.
So you understand what goes on over there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do. And this regime has also done nothing except create division as well. So people need to understand, and understand it very sincerely and cautiously, that this regime does not compromise, this regime does not care, and this regime will not stop. No.
Thank you, Alpha.
So I will leave you guys with this final fact, and you guys can fact check me on this. I have no issue. You can fact check me on this.
Okay? When you use the term Islamophobia, for instance, to shut down criticism of these regimes by trying to instrumentalize the term Muslim against critics of this regime or opponents of this regime, you need to understand the very term Islamophobia was written in blood when women were executed against their consent, against their choice for not wearing an attire that the Ayatollah wanted to impose upon them. And when the women rise up, those same women that you claim to support, those same vulnerable women that you claim to view as the pinnacle of humanity, right? That term Islamophobia was coined by no other than Ayatollah Khomeini, who murdered women. So the term, when you use it, kind of devalues from your moral outrage, doesn't it? Especially when it comes from people like me. Because we actually not only speak the language, we lived the dictatorship. We lived it. Do you see?
Thank you,
So please do yourself a big favor and study more before you come and try to defend these regimes. For your own self. For your own.
I want to ask you
Well, did I tell you how good this guy is?
Yeah, it's really good. I'm interested that you mentioned the word Islamophobia was developed by the Ayatollah. Do you have any reference points that I'm curious? I know that it was really it's a word that was started to be used back in the 1990s, and it surrounded itself by a few particular events. Prior to that, it was it goes back to the 1920s, the actual word in itself. It was more popularised in the 1960s. But if you've got any reference points, I'd love to see them in the chat. By the way, talking about the chat, JT, I get that you feel that you have an understanding of what those words are, because I can assure you that what I'm saying, you do have a level of ignorance that doesn't genuinely faze.
That guy is like most cows, they stay in the chat. Sit down, he wants me to check for a war agreement, I guess. Let me see if Truth is available to speak. Truth, are you there?
Sorry about that.
No worries, man. You have a life, I get it. Did you want to chime in on what we talked about?
Unfortunately, I missed the last bit of the drama. I was talking with family.
Well, we're talking about everything that's going on in the world today, like the No Kings protest that's going on in 2,000 locations in America. Donald Trump's esteemed military parade today that's being paid for by tech companies and military companies. And we're also talking about Israel, Iran, Ukraine, Russia. Anyone?
Buffet. Buffet of badness. I will say one of the things that made me happy was the general came out, the highest ranking general came out and said he will refuse any order his own troops to not interact with any American civilians or even undocumented. That they will not be under his purview getting involved defying Trump's wishes, which I think it's about time. They're late to never. That made me happy to see some pushback internally. The No King protest, I think it's symbolic. I don't think we're really at threat of having a king, although I do know Trump wishes he was a king, but our constitution is too robust, our legal system's too robust. He's definitely testing the guardrails, but I wish people knew more effective ways they could actually make a difference, like actually gathering to push bills that would counter some of Project 2025, which is what all this really is anyway. Instead of just like lighting shit on fire and destroying public property and private property. I think that's ridiculous. And the Iraq-Iran thing. Israel-Iran thing. We've seen this coming. They've been talking about wanting to do it for over 20, since the 90s, even before then. Netanyahu especially has been saying he wanted this, so it makes sense that under a Trump administration they push the envelope. I will say I'm skeptical of if Iran really did break through the Iron Dome, because either they have new technology that we didn't know about, or maybe Israel's doing a false flag to justify a major expansion of war effort. I don't know.
Well, they don't use Iron Dome for ICBMs, but...
Yeah. Look, it's known that Israel has had some issues with the hypersonic missiles, specifically. But
It's not that all of them have been getting through, but some of them have been getting through, unfortunately. And it's David, I believe it's David Sling that tries to take care of Sonic
Well, yeah, it's really sad to see the loss of life. The difference is, truth. Israel's firing at military objectives. Iran's firing at civilians. So there's that, but nobody wants to talk about that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Israel's strikes on Iran were actually really sophisticated. Kind of dispels their narrative that they can't do that in Palestine, though. Because, oh man.
I would like to just push back a little bit on that truth. While I do understand your point, however, you have to understand that the combat arrangement, or rather the combat grid in Gaza, is completely underground. It's not a combat where soldier versus soldier. And plus, it's urban warfare. And if you study just simple urban warfare or guerrilla warfare against conventional armies, guerrilla warfare is always intricate. And many generals who have written books on this, or many military tacticians who have written books on this, have always admitted to the fact that guerrilla warfare can be very tedious, it can be very effective, given the protocols of war, because that's why they call it guerrilla warfare, because they don't fight conventionally. They don't come out with platoons and battalions and arrange a grid for combat. No, they do sneak attacks, they do surprise attacks, and if you look at the way